Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia. Well, it's been an interesting week here for those that tuned in last week. We were battening down the hatches this time last week, getting ready for an East Coast low and a cyclone to hit the coast. And we did sort of have, many parts of Australia copped a lot of flooding and rain and storms and everything. But here on the Gold Coast, we were pretty lucky. We sort of only got the rain event. We really didn't get the destruction. So I thought this week we'd talk about things that happen in our lives and why do things happen in our lives. And for those of you that don't know me, my name's Amanda Hall. I've been in the psychic industry in Australia for over 40 years, so I have a little bit of knowledge that I can share with you each week as we talk about things astrological and as we talk about things connected to tarot. So this week I thought we'd start with the card of the week for the show, which is the Ace of Wands, and this is the card of new beginnings, birth of ideas and new opportunities. So I think that's very appropriate for all of us as we head towards a very important part of the year. You know, we've just started the astrological year with the sun moving into Aries a couple of weeks ago, and it's now the time when we set our intention for the rest of the year of what we want to bring in as individuals. So this takes me to the next subject that I want to talk about this morning, and that is about the sun sign. Now, most of us know what our sun sign or our zodiac sign is or our star sign, but we don't really know what that means. We just know that by the date and the year and the month of we were born, that denotes our zodiac sign. But we say to ourselves, well, okay, I read this stuff in the newspaper or magazine or online. Some of it fits, but some of it doesn't. And we don't quite understand why. Well, it's very, very simple. If I was to take a pie and divide it into 12 pieces and then try and divide the population the same way into 12 pieces of pie, we all wouldn't fit into that unique piece of pie that's supposed to be us. We would say, okay, part of me fits there, but part of me fits in the piece of pie next to me, or I feel I fit in the piece of pie opposite me. So this is why astrology is a science, and it is important, if at all possible, if you're going to get a chart done, to know your time, your precise time of birth, place and date. It's really important because in astrology terms, 4 minutes can make a difference. 4 minutes can mean the difference between an energy or a planet moving from one sign to another, from one house to another, and this changes the ingredients that make up you as a person. So the sun in our chart is the heart and soul of our chart. So it's really interesting when we say, this is my star sign, we're saying this is the heart and soul of me. So when you know where that is in your chart, then you start to understand 1/10 of who you are. You don't understand all of who you are, but you understand one small piece of who you are. And this is where your energy centre comes from. This is where your drive comes from. This is where it comes from, who you are and what you want to present to the world, the type of person that you really, really want to be. So over the next 4 shows, we'll talk briefly about what the sun means in the chart. So today we're going to talk about the first 3 signs, which will be Aries, Taurus and Gemini. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So the Aries energy is fire, it's determined, it's cardinal, and it's me first. It's a motivational sign. It's what about me? I want to do things my way. I want to be first because I am the first sign of the zodiac. So therefore I have a lot of drive. I have a lot of initiative. I want to drive things home. I don't necessarily want to hang around and see them finished, but I'll get everybody motivated and up off their chair because that's what my job is to be the leader, is to rally the troops and let's go. So it is a fire sign and it is a very determined sign, but it doesn't necessarily lack the stickability to stay through to the bitter end. It's the sign that, as I said, motivates everybody, gets them up off the couch and then moves on to the next project. When we look at the next sign, which is Taurus, Taurus is the sign of money. It's an earth sign, it's stubborn, it's pig-headed, it's a fixed sign. So when you deal with a Taurus person, they are a little bit slower than an Aries. They need to absorb things. They need to understand. They need to analyse and look at the situation and say, yes, well, I can see the reasons why we would make a decision that way. And Taurian people sometimes are considered slow. They're not slow. They're just taking their time and absorbing and making sure that the next step that they're going to take is very sure-footed. So they're very good to have around if you want to go into business or you want to run a business idea past somebody. A Taurian is a perfect person to do that because they will have one eye on the money and the finances. The final sign that we're going to talk about this week is Gemini. Now, Geminis get a lot of bad press, even though they're an air sign and they're considered the sign of the twins. Geminis are motivators. Geminis are people that you snap the fingers and in comes the ideas. They're quite often found in the media. They are the sort of people that can do 10 things at once. Maybe not all well, but they can certainly do 10 things at once and talk while they're managing to multitask and do 5 other things at the same time and still seemingly have their eye on the ball. So Geminis are where a lot of our innovation comes from bright ideas, new opportunities connected with the media, because they have this ability to be able to think outside the square. They don't necessarily have the stickability of a Taurus. They don't have that drive to sort of see something through to the finish. They're a little bit like an Aries in that way. They like to get things happening, but then they also like to sort of move on to the next project. It's sort of like they're the ideas person. They're the person with the light bulb moment. So as you can see, as we work through the zodiac over the next few weeks, you'll start to see a little bit of a pattern forming at how you can relate to people that you meet and work with, people that are important in your life, like your family and your friends. And, there might be some things that you might say, oh, gee, Amanda was a little bit harsh on that sign. What I'm trying to do is bring in a snapshot the positives and the negatives of each sign, so that you can start to understand how the sun would work in your chart. So we're really only having a little snapshot of this, of what happens in your life if you were born under these signs. We have to remember that there is another 9 planets that make us up as a person. And those other 9 planets also have major influence in our chart. As I said, this is 1/10 of you. Then we bring in other layers that come into astrology as known as the houses, and there's 12 houses. And we also have aspects, which is the distance between, or a pattern between one planet to another, that is taking shape when you were born. So to have an astrological chart done, a natal chart is a snapshot of where the planets were at your birth. It's like taking a Polaroid Instamatic camera photo of where the planet sat when you were born on this earth. So it is unique to only you, unless somebody else was born at precisely the same time and the same location as you were at exactly the same moment. There is no 2 people on the planet the same. So today I think it's really interesting. The more we understand about ourselves and the people that are closest to us, I feel the more that we can actually learn to get on with fellows and fellow people in our lives, because we can be a little bit more understanding of the differences that make them unique. And that's really important, because most of us feel as if we sometimes don't understand the people that are the closest to us. Sometimes we sort of feel as if, okay, I know what they're saying, but I really don't understand why they would think that way or why they would see a situation in that light. And this is because of the differences that may be in their sun sign, of what's passionate to them and how they sort of feel in their life. So it's interesting because we don't all see things the same way, and it's probably a good thing we don't. Imagine how boring life would be if we all had the same take on a situation or a problem in life, or even like the same music. There'd be nothing to get excited about. There'd be nothing to get our creative juices flowing. So tonight's show, we're going to take our very, very first caller, and I feel really quite at home here because we've got Simone calling in from New South Wales, Australia. And Simone, you're just down the road from me, obviously, give or take a few 100 miles. Welcome, Simone. How can I help you?
Oh, hi there. I've just got some questions with family issues. I feel as if it's broken, and I'd like for us all to try and be a family again.
Okay. Simone, the first thing I think you've got to realise is that everybody feels that they're right in this situation. No one feels that they're the person that's caused the family breakdown. So that's going to be a little bit tricky to try and overcome everybody else's emotion in this situation. I appreciate how upsetting this has been for you, because you sort of feel that at the moment everything looks very hopeless, don't you? You don't sort of feel that you can find a way to sort of try and mend the fences between, there's been more than two people I feel involved in this, and everybody's got their own interpretation or their own form of truth of who said what and who did what, and I'm not going to go back there and I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. And instead of everybody just sort of calming down and saying, hey, look, we don't all have to agree, but we are all family at the end of the day, and family should stick together no matter what. The problem here, the biggest problem here I see, Simone, is nobody wants to be the first one to sort of say, I'm sorry, or can we sort this out? And I'm not necessarily asking you to be the bigger person than everyone else. What I'm asking you is, if you really, really, really want to get this family back together again, and you've really got the tenacity to do so, then you've got to search your heart and your soul and say, what can I put on the table that might bring everybody back together again? Yes, they're all going to be a bit standoffish with their arms folded and don't want to know and don't want to hear. But I think we've got to try and call a truce here and just accept that everybody has a different opinion and they're entitled to their opinion, and maybe sort of draw a line in the sand and say, let's try and go forward. And it's hard because we're heading up to Easter now, and this is a very much a family-oriented time of the year, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
And you're used to the, the big family gathering, or, people coming together at these significant times of the year. I understand where you're coming from, and I do feel your pain, but I'm just not sure that everybody's as ready as you are to try and glue the pieces back together to the family just at this moment. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but I think, maybe just sort of reach out to everybody. Is there some way that maybe you could possibly put out to everybody that there's going to be a family gathering over the Easter break, a Sunday barbecue or something like that, and see who might agree to come? That might be the first step to mending this.
Well, I actually tried this at Christmas time, and it just ended up in just in sour grapes. So, and there's been no contact or anything, and I'm thinking, what else can I do? This is ridiculous. So. Yeah,
it is. And I think the problem here is, Simone, is nobody else is understanding it from your perspective. They're all taking it back to, very selfishly, back to me, myself and I. Do you know what I mean? They're not looking at your feelings or someone else's feelings or how someone else feels, and not looking at the bigger picture either, that everybody's getting older. Families diversify these days for many different reasons, for work and things like that. Once you start to lose the power base of the family, you've really lost something that's very significant, the glue that holds us all together. I think we've just probably, I appreciate that you tried at Christmas time and it ended up in sour grapes and, probably in some cases worse than what it was before. I think all as you can do is try and reach out to everybody, maybe individually, and say to them, look, I appreciate what's gone on. I don't want to post-mortem on it, but I would really like, for this particular reason, we get together, and try and put this all behind us. Is there somebody's birthday or some celebration coming up in the family that maybe you could use that as the leverage, or a more, an older person that, may not be here with us next Christmas? Like sometimes you've got to pull on those emotional heartstrings to get people to sort of understand that, we can't always be selfish in these situations. It's a very common problem at the moment, Simone. I've been dealing with a lot of people this year that have been in a similar situation to you. And I think a lot of it is that we've become such a selfish society. Do you know what I mean? With everything about look at me, whether it's social media or whatever, we've forgotten to make allowances for other people and let other people have an opinion.
Yes, this is quite true, and that's what the root of the problem is, that people are selfish. And, I've tried on birthdays, I've tried, and I thought, I feel like banging my head, against the wall, but, so I was just saying, if you could feel or see anything with us rekindling without me.
It's going to be a slow process, Simone, and unfortunately it's going to take a long time to mend this, and it's not you single-handedly can you do this. So maybe what the best way around this would be, maybe if you can't get, anybody to sort of agree with what you're saying, maybe just pick one or two members out of the family that you feel that you can have a good connection with, and maybe you start a new tradition with them.
Yes, I think that's it.
And I think that's a good starting point, and that might then break down some of those other barriers with other members of the family, and they think, oh, I'm missing out. We didn't get invited to this Easter Sunday get-together like we always did. There was only, Auntie Mary and Uncle Bob there. Oh, well, why wasn't I invited? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we've got to think outside the square to try and get things back to where they used to be. But, Simone, one thing I do want to say to you is this wasn't your fault. And this is something that you've agonised and you've searched your soul in what your role in all this was. What I see was you clearly tried to be the mediator to go around and try and get everybody on the same page, and it was you that ended up in the stew.
Yes, that's exactly it. And I'm the worst one in the world now. So it's affected like my nieces, my nephews, my sister. Like she has no contact with me, and it's got to the point I'm thinking, wow. I never knew that it would escalate just from a simple little disagreement.
Sometimes things do escalate out of all normality. So I think pick some people in the family that do actually talk to you, that do like you, and start some new traditions, and maybe even start them from this Easter. So at least then you don't feel like that you've wasted your time, that, you've still had some family contact, and, they've got to be the ones to swallow their pride and eat humble pie and come back towards you now, I feel. Sometimes by just cutting them off emotionally like that and not allowing them to hurt you anymore is something that they pick up on an energetic level, and they think, wow, why is Simone angry with me?
Yes,
maybe they'll have a good look in the mirror, which is what they need to do. Anyway, sweetheart, I wish you well with all this, and happy Easter, and try and stay positive and start to set,
and
as I
thank you
said,
for your advice.
Wonderful, sweetie. Thank you. And we're now going to move on to Jennifer in Hamilton, Ohio, USA. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello.
How can I help you tonight, sweetie?
I'm just looking for a reading.
Okay, but do you have a particular question I can help you with, Jennifer?
I guess I would ask, do you think that my grandma is still around?
What do you mean still around, as in here on Earth, or around you in spirit?
Like spirit-wise.
Okay. Jennifer, they don't necessarily completely desert us. I mean, there's lots of different opinions, I suppose, on who and what our spirit guides are when, and who helps guide us through our lives. My personal belief is our spirit guides are usually passed over family members, somebody in the family, and sometimes family members that we didn't even get to meet here on Earth, that have an association or affiliation or feel comfortable with you, and they then decide to become your spirit guide. But there's always one that's sort of like the head honcho, the boss of the spirit guides up there. And I actually feel your grandmother stepped into that role, and very, very comfortably. She likes to give orders. She likes everybody to take notice of what she's got to say. And even though she ruled with an iron fist, she did it with love. And it wasn't, if she gave you a dressing down, you deserved it, in her opinion anyway. So, yes, she is around you. I just don't think that you feel her presence like you do at other times. You feel other family members that have passed on. You sort of feel as if they give you more indication that they're close to you, or they're around you, or they're making contact with you. But let me assure you, your grandmother is always there. She's always there, watching over what you're doing. And at different times when you get that sort of shiver that goes through your body and you think, what was that all about? That's grandma.
Right.
So take notice of what you were doing or what you were saying just prior to that, to whether or not she's happy with you, or is she trying to get you to sort of take notice of something, because she uses it for both instances. She's not just doing it when she's pleased and that's her way of sort of acknowledging she's happy with what you're doing. She's also showing me she does that too if she needs to get your attention, if she thinks you're not on the right path. So she's a very powerful woman. But I also sort of feel that she feels that you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet a little bit more, Jennifer. She sort of feels that you're looking to too many other people for answers instead of looking inside yourself and your own wisdom and saying, this is what I need to do for me. She's really strong on that with me. She's sort of saying you've now got to take your own power back and trust in your own judgment, that you have a lot of wisdom, that you are able to make decisions and make them quickly and stick to them. Don't let other people talk you in and out of what you need. You know, say, no, this is my decision and I'm sticking to it, and I don't necessarily need to give you an explanation at how I came to this decision. She's just saying, you know, learn the word no a bit more. She's also showing me that, have you been contemplating a new job, Jennifer?
Hey, what? I'm sorry.
Have you been looking for a new job, or have you been thinking about changing your job? She keeps showing me new work.
No.
Well, she keeps showing me a new work opportunity coming up here in the next couple of months. So obviously it's something she wants you to consider when it's offered to you, or the opportunities there. She wants you to give it a lot of serious thought.
Okay.
She's not necessarily definitely saying you must take it. She's just asking you to look at it, to give it airtime, you know. Don't just dismiss it. So but she said to me that, you know, you are getting there, you know, like you have this tremendous ability to make snap decisions really quickly, and you just need to follow that. You just need to trust in your own judgment more.
Okay.
And that's good. You know, that's a really nice compliment coming from her.
Right.
Because she didn't give compliments easily. You know, she wasn't the sort of person that was always handing out a compliment. If you got one off your grandmother, you really deserved it.
Okay. That sounds like her.
Okay. Is there anything else I can help you with, Jennifer?
My daughter's having a couple medical problems. Do you see anything as far as her medical?
Medical's an area that we don't usually dabble in because we're not doctors. What I can tell you is that what I'm sensing here is I don't think you've got to the bottom of it yet. I still think that there's more exploration or more tests that need to be done before we get the definitive answer on what's actually causing your daughter's medical condition. I would say conditions with an S. I sort of feel as if there's two separate things that are sort of running side by side. I don't think we can put everything just into one basket. So I think you still need to keep going with that. You know, you'll get a feeling in your stomach whether something's right or wrong. So follow that. And I think that's what your grandmother was talking about. You know, you need to follow what your instincts are telling you more. They're very sharp at the moment. But I don't feel your daughter's health is life-threatening, though. They didn't show it to me in that way.
Okay. Yeah, she has a bunch of specialists that's looking at her, and they're trying to determine what it is. She's got some kind of rare
I feel they will get to the bottom of it, but I feel it's going to have sort of like two labels or two conditions, and it's like these two never usually happen at the same time. You know, whether we call that a good thing or a bad thing, it's sort of like that's what's confused them a little bit, because certain symptoms go to one condition and certain symptoms go to the other. And this is why they've sort of been looking for definitive answers before they start suggesting, you know, treatment or medication or whatever the case may be. But I do feel that your daughter will be able to make I don't know whether recovery is the right word, but I certainly see her health improving, and she will be able to make adjustments in her life to accommodate this and move forward.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yes, it is good. So it's certainly not life-threatening, so you can stop worrying about that part of it. This is more, we've got to get to the bottom of it and then find the appropriate direction to take it and manage it, and then, you know, she can get on with her life, which is good. Okay, Jennifer, it's been lovely to speak with you tonight.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said it's been lovely to speak with you tonight, Jennifer.
You too.
Okay, have a great night. Okay, so we're nearly at the end of the show. Isn't it amazing how quickly things go here on A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV that we've got less than 3 minutes left of the show. So to wrap up this week, I'd like to say to each and every one of you, this is the time of the year where we really should be starting to try and put ourselves first a little bit, be a little bit kinder to ourselves, make sure that we take some time out of our busy week to just even have half an hour to ourselves and recharge our emotional and spiritual batteries, because it really is an important thing to do. As you know, the change of the seasons, and whatever part of the world you're in at the moment, we're all in a change of seasons. So this is the time when we really should nurture ourselves just that tiny little bit more. For those of you that might want a reading and weren't able to get through today on the show, you can always head to my Facebook page, Amanda Hall Psychic, and you'll find all the links and information there. I'd love you to join me there on that page. So it's really, as we go through the coming weeks of the show, we'll be talking a little bit more about the sun signs. Next week we'll talk about the sun signs in the next 4 signs, which is Cancer, Leo and Virgo. I will put some information up on my Facebook page for those of you that want to sort of go back and reread what I've said about the signs that we covered today. But I also look forward to you sort of popping onto the Facebook page and letting me know about any topics you would like me to cover here on the show as we go through our journey together here on A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV. My name's Amanda Hall and I'm a psychic from the Gold Coast in Australia, and it's been absolutely wonderful to work with you again today. And I really look forward to working with and reading as many people as we can over the coming months. So it's really good to have you all on the program again. So I really want to take this opportunity to tell everybody to stay safe, be kind to yourself this week. And if you can find some little thing that you can do that's being kind to someone else, that really is invoking good karma. Just open a car door for somebody, allow somebody in the elevator first. Be kind to each other and have a great week, and we shall see you all again, same time, same channel next week on A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, psychic from the Gold Coast. Have a great week, everyone.